So the other day I was out driving around, and to my peripheral vision, I see an orange logo with a skeleton. And you know what that means. I love Halloween and anything revolving around special effects makeup. So, of course, the first thing I did was I drove to that building being occupied by the spirit Halloween ghosts, picked up my honorary bottle of fake blood and liquid latex, some cheap face paint. I got black and white, and I got some blood gel. So today I'm going to be doing a makeup look, a very special makeup look from an American Werewolf in London. I'm just going to be doing Jack's makeup. I have practiced before, and I feel like there's a lot of things that I could have worked on to make it look a little bit more efficient and more realistic, I suppose. So I'm going to try to do this to the best of my abilities with the tools that I have. So I got my reference picture over here. I'm going to be referencing it, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. But I don't have any makeup on right now. So I feel like it'll work a little better when you don't have anything stuck to your face or any primers of some sort, because then the latex will stick better. Starting off with a brown eyeliner pencil, I'm going to be sketching out where I want the claw marks to be, and I'm making them really thin because later when I pack on the latex and the paper towel, I want to give myself room. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is just leaving a big space around the cheek area. The purpose of this is when you put the paper over it, it looks like the face is sunken in with more depth. I'm going to start off with a light layer of liquid latex just because when it dries on the skin, it tends to make a little bit of creasing and wrinkling, and I feel like that is effective for the trail marks of the scar itself. Now I'm going to be packing on some paper towel. I ripped it apart in half, and I'm just going to be gluing it on with the latex itself, and I'm also going to be lathering the latex over it with a Q-tip. This part is probably the most interesting just because you're going to be touching the latex a lot and your fingers are going to be really sticky. I feel like if you use gloves, it's going to be more uncomfortable, so that's why I just use my hands. You're also going to need a sharp tool to kind of even and break out the latex once it starts drying, because that is where the actual wound is going to be. Then I'm going to be bringing that paper towel and latex down to my neck in no particular order. I'm just slathering it, and I feel like the messier it looks, the better. For this lower cheek jaw area, I want to pack on as much as possible. I plan on tearing the inside of it and kind of folding it out because it's going to add depth once you put the color on it and you put the blood on it. It's where the blood is going to be held, like a little pocket, and also the flap. So this is going to take the longest part to dry, so you have to be really patient with that, but aside from that, it's literally just packing on paper towel and latex and being really patient. This is me exhibiting that example of patience while I just lay there and hope that it dries quicker. Okay, so this is as good as it's gonna get for now. I'm gonna start putting some foundation and concealer on to blend this with my skin, and I'm waiting for this flap to dry, the famous little flap. So this is the only concealer I have. It's from Glossier, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to shove as much of it inside the folds itself because you really want it to blend as much as you can, and I'm putting it around my face to make myself look a little bit more pale. It's all in the works of making it look like you got mauled to death as much as possible. Next, I'm going to be using a small scissor and a little metal cuticle remover thing to open up the wounds in the center. You have to be very careful when doing this so you don't hurt yourself. So essentially you're ripping off that first layer of latex and folding it outwardly so it's holding the wound itself, and you're adding depth to that area. Then I'm going to be taking the concealer down to my neck. I unfortunately wasn't able to do this to the full ability just because the latex was still wet and the brush was sticking to it. Now, taking a bronzer color, I'm patting the wound area around. This will give it the effect of it being a little bit older, like the wound is rotting itself out. Now we're gonna start decorating the inside of this latex, and I start by putting black inside of the wound itself to add that first layer of depth, And I'm doing this to every sort of crevice that is on the latex itself. And I'm going to be dragging it in, and make sure that you put it in the inside of the folds. Because if you just put it on the outside and nothing on the inside, it's going to look like there's something missing. This flap was the most difficult part. I feel like I should have, now that I'm looking at it, I feel like I should have cut it a little bit more uneven, but you know, it is what it is. I can't really go back and redo this. This is also when you're going to notice if any of the wounds need to be sharpened up a little more, so you can go back and tailor and cut them as needed. Now I'm going to be adding some more powder on the outside of the wound. You can really play with the colors that you want to use around it. I think any sort of colors that look like bruises. I also am hollowing out my cheeks and putting pink around the wound area. You can use purple, you can use yellow, just so it looks like bruising. I did put purple under my eyes as well, just because, well, we're dead, so that's pretty much what we're getting to. And I am going to be bringing that same color all along the wound with the yellows. I know that when they did this makeup, they coated the entirety of Griffin's neck to be able to do the scarring detail. I don't have those materials, so I can't do that. And even if I did, I don't think I could reach the level that Baker did. I'm really trying my best here, but watching the behind the scenes of this was kind of sad because Griffin was really depressed when he was going through this makeup transition. And like, I don't blame the guy. I too will be really upset if I had to see myself dead in real life. Also, a deleted scene featured Jack makeup with him eating a piece of toast that falls straight out of his torn throat. Baker and Landis designed this, but then they had to cut it out because it wouldn't secure an R rating, which I think that's so freaking funny. Like, seeing what horror was back then and what it is now, it's so risky now, but in like the best ways. After I devoured an entire tube of red lipstick and put it inside the folds, I'm trying out the blood gel, but I'm not getting what I want from it. I thought it would be a little bit more runny, which I would like for it to be in this case, so I'm gonna go in with the fake blood that's in the little bottle, and that's gonna be more effective. So I just packed it on with a Q-tip as well, and I'm trying to rub it around the fold so it looks realistic. But I think the most difficult part of doing this is trying to get the folds in a way where the blood is not gonna drip on your clothes, but angling yourself also in a way that it's not gonna go everywhere. So this will be messy regardless, and that's okay. That's comes with the territory of doing these types of effects. Now, with the liquid blood, not the blood gel, but the liquid blood, I just started using my fingers and dabbing it on. I don't have a brush for this, so as messy as possible, it just has to look splattered. It doesn't have to be perfect. And this is also where I'm going in to hide any sort of imperfections. Like if one of the flaps wasn't that great, I'm just gonna cover it in blood. And this is essentially what it looks like. I tried my best. Here's me messing with my little camcorder. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for 300 subs. I really appreciate it.